Today, we are focusing on a critical transition for many entrepreneurs selling their business and maximizing its value.
So I made a pretty quick decision to change directions. And I decided pretty quickly that I was going to get out of corporate, get out of medical space, and I was actually looking to buy a small business.
Evaluating an offer goes beyond just the financial terms. It's about assessing the long term impact on your business and future opportunities.
So I think when I hear that question, a good offer, which is words perhaps, or it's just an offer, but getting that to the point where it becomes a great deal, what's the difference between words and actions?
Hello there, business owners and entrepreneurs. Are you thinking about your exit strategy? Remember, maximizing value and understanding potential buyers are key to achieving a successful transition. Hi, this is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, where we explore the strategies and insights that empower Canadian business owners. Today, we are focusing on a critical transition for many entrepreneurs selling their business and maximizing its value. Now, recent trends in mergers and acquisitions highlight the importance of careful planning and expert guidance to ensure a successful exit. This discussion today will provide valuable insights for business owners considering a sale and aiming to achieve the best possible outcome. Joining us today is Don Montgomery, founder and president of True North Mergers and Acquisitions, a national M&A firm dedicated to helping owners of small and medium-sized businesses optimize their exit. With a passion for educating, preparing, and protecting business owners, Don brings a wealth of expertise to this discussion. Let's dive in. Firstly, Don, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, it's our pleasure. Now, Don, before we dive into the core of today's conversation, I'd love to start by hearing a bit about your journey. What exactly got you into M&A in the first place, and what do you enjoy about it the most?
Sure. And it's actually part of the story that resonates through how we serve our customers.
Mhm.
But I can tell you that a little over 10 years ago, at that point, I had spent about 25 years in the corporate medical world
Mhm.
as in sales and management and as a president of a medical company. And after about 25 years, I was somewhat unceremoniously uh, let go and realized that even though I was performing at a very high level in terms of any metric you wanted to look at that time, I had no control, I had no equity, and I had no say in the decision.
Mm.
So it was a pretty traumatic event in my life, pretty stunning to wake up one morning and just be out of a job. I also hadn't really accumulated much wealth at that point because you're somewhat controlled and somewhat you don't have a lot of ability to gain wealth via the corporate world.
Right.
So I made a pretty quick decision to change directions, and I decided pretty quickly that I was going to get out of corporate, get out of medical space, and I was actually looking to buy a small business. And I was looking at businesses in the approximate value of maybe $2 to $4 million.
Mhm.
I didn't know then what I know now in terms of the ability to finance and how to get financing and all those sorts of things. So I basically decided that was my target range.
Right.
And over the next 5 or 6 months, I made a pretty big discovery, and that's that most of the people representing those businesses, they're relatively small businesses in Canada, were unprofessional, unpolished, and unprepared.
Right.
And they just didn't represent small businesses well. So I recognized an opportunity in the Canadian marketplace.
Mhm.
Most people that have a 30, 40, or $50 million business have fantastic representations from the accounting firms, the banks, investment banking, et cetera. But small business owners really weren't well represented.
Right.
And so I started True North to give professional representations to small business owners.
That's a very wholesome take on it. And also sometimes, stories that can, incidents that can rip us apart emotionally, they are actually the ones that, they are the true wake up calls that we need in our career. What do you have to say about it? Is that something that it took you a lot of courage to get out of it, or was it like a snap moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point. At the moment, it's heartbreaking. It's highly
Of course,
emotional.
yeah.
It's traumatic. You're asking a ton of questions.
Because you've mentally invested yourself so much into that,
Yeah,
right?
and I had no regrets at the time. I had a great team. I loved my job. I loved what the direction I was going. But all of a sudden, based on somebody else's decision,
Right.
it was over, and it was very quick. So it didn't take. I was fortunate in that it didn't take me long to kind of have another awakening and go, okay, I'm going to do something completely
Right.
different, and to be, I'm probably more of a glass half full than I am glass half empty.
Of course.
And so I saw the opportunity and then started going down this road to acquire a business.
Right.
Um, and then fairly quickly again pivoted after that into what is now True North. So, um,
You are indeed a very courageous person, and it shows, right?
well,
So,
thank you.
kudos to you for doing that. Now, Don, a successful business exit is about aligning your goals, ensuring that your company is well prepared, and being strategic about timing to get the best possible outcome. So, what does exactly exiting on your term truly means for a business owner, and what are the key steps that they should take to maximize the value of their business before they step into the market?
The most important thing a business owner needs to do is start early
Right.
and come up with a plan.
Mm.
Um, people often ask us the question or ask me the question, when should I start? How soon before I exit should I start planning?
Right.
My answer is now, because it doesn't matter whether you want to exit 10 months from now or 10 years from now.
Right.
The more that you plan and have a strategy and you have time to implement that plan, the
Right.
better off you're going to be. The plan would usually start with understanding how your business is valued.
Hmm.
Most people, I think the stats are well over 80% of people, don't know the value of the business that they own,
Right.
which is kind of a crazy stat when you think that most business owners, their business is the largest single asset that
Right.
they own, and yet they don't know the value of it. It's really easy to work with someone to find out what the value of your biggest asset is, your business.
Right.
We do that as a service, relatively inexpensively, if not for free in some
Hmm.
cases. But there are many different ways to find out the value of your business and to understand why it's valued that way. And then the next thing is putting together a plan to add value and
Right.
actually put together a team as well that is going to help you exit the company at a certain point.
Right. So you guys are literally making everyone's life easier, is what you're doing, right?
That's part of what we're trying to do. I'm also a therapist at times. I'm
Wow.
also a coach and a counselor, and
Yeah. As a
um,
business owner, you're often juggling between so many hats. So everything, you're an expert at everything, right? So
absolutely, yeah. And I'm a small business owner now myself.
yeah.
We have a small team, and one of the things we're constantly telling our team is that they have to be willing and able to have different hats, different roles at different times.
Right. That's very interesting. Now, Don, building on the theme of understanding the transaction, let's explore the different type of buyers that you get involved
Sure.
with in M&A. Now, go ahead and shed some light on what are the different type of individuals or buyers typically involved in M&A transactions, and how exactly their approaches differ, or motivations differ.
Sure. So, really, four types of buyers out there. Um, Usually, you'll hear if you go to a talk or a conference or something that there's two types of buyers. We firmly believe there's four. So, I'll go through those. The two most acceptable or discussed
Mhm.
are one, a strategic buyer. So, a strategic buyer is going to be a buyer that is in your industry, in your space,
Right.
that understands your business and how it operates. If I was potentially selling a roofing company here in Toronto, a strategic buyer might be a roofing supplier that supplies Ontario roofing companies.
Right.
It could also be a Western Canadian roofing company that's looking to expand their marketplace. They're in the same industry, they know your product, they know the business, and they're simply looking to grow through acquisition. Um, Strategic buyers often the best payer because they not only will gain from your top revenues, but they'll improve your bottom line by having synergies and to improve the operating performance of your company. So increasing both revenue and bottom line performance.
Right.
And as a result, they can afford to pay a little bit more, and they often have better access to financing along the way as well. The second major type of buyer that everybody's heard of is private equity.
Right.
Private equity really are looking for larger deals,
Mhm.
usually somewhere in the neighborhood of at least $1 million in earnings or EBITDA.
Right.
Um, and they're looking for what are either usually platform companies that are much larger, or they're looking for bolt-on or add-on acquisitions that can be a little bit smaller.
Right.
Private equity are very sophisticated in their approach. They know exactly what they're doing. All they do is buy businesses and grow their own businesses. So they're very professional and sophisticated in how they approach. They can also be a challenge to deal with because you, as the business owner, really don't know anything about selling a business or going into a deal with private equity, and they're extremely professional and knowledgeable in what they do. The other two types of buyers are one is a search fund, and a search fund is a usually a younger um, individual that has their MBA and has been trained on how to take over, manage, and run a business,
Okay.
and they have an investment group behind them.
Mhm.
And so that investment group are guiding and giving them direction to what kind of business it is they're looking for. But ultimately, it's a search fund's owner who will drive the search, find the companies, and eventually try and get a deal done.
Right.
The big difference with a search fund is that the search fund director or owner will actually step into the owner's role of the new company or of the
Mhm.
target. And so it does answer a big question for Canadian business owners,
Right.
because one of the biggest questions for an owner is, when somebody buys my company, are they going to be capable of taking over my role as owner? And there's a lot of risk with that. So a search fund can answer some of those questions.
Mhm.
And then finally, in the smaller business space, there's also a lot of folks like me that are ex-corporate people that have either decided to leave the corporate space, or they got let go by a corporation, and they've realized that one of the best ways to build wealth is to buy or start a company. And as we know by the stats, buying a company can be way more successful than trying to start your own business. So that's the fourth area.
That's a very practical breakdown. Is any one of these, favorite to yours? Like one of the four types?
No, it's a great question. I would say our approach is to include all four types and make sure that we prepare a business to
Right.
address all four types. We never know. Usually, an owner will have an idea of either the type of business owner they want, or sorry, the type of buyer they want
Right.
to buy their business. They'll think that it might be private equity or strategic, and yet then a search fund comes along, or we think, oh, this is going to do really well to be purchased by an individual, and then a private equity company comes along and grabs it up. So our approach is to assume we don't know
Right.
and make sure we're well prepared for all four types.
No, definitely. I completely agree with your approach. Hello there, business owners and entrepreneurs. Are you thinking about your exit strategy? Remember, maximizing value and understanding potential buyers are key to achieving a successful transition. Now, let's get back to our conversation with Dawn and explore the power of competitive tension. Now, Dawn, let's shift our focus to the dynamics of the market and how to leverage the competitive tension that there is. Now, positioning your business effectively in the market and understanding the timing of the sale are key to achieving the best possible outcome. How exactly can business owners leverage the power of competitive tension to drive up the value of their business during a sale? I'm asking, and what exactly does the overall market has, a role to play in the entire landscape?
Sure. So there's no question that competitive tension is the most important role for an M&A advisor or professional to deliver.
Right.
Um, in order to have competitive tension, you need to have multiple bids. You need to run a process that delivers that competitive tension. There's no question that the best day, aside from closing and getting the money in their bank account for an owner, that's a great day, no question.
Right.
But the best day in that journey or in the process of selling a business is sitting down with a seasoned professional M&A advisor and reviewing 6, 8, 10 offers,
Right.
because that provides that owner with a tremendous sense of knowing exactly what their business is worth. You're not guessing anymore when you've got 7 offers sitting in front
Right.
of you. Um, it also is very fulfilling because it's, perhaps with our help, that owner has now had 7 different parties express interest in buying what they've built. So that's very
Right.
fulfilling as well.
Right.
But more than anything, that tension gives us the ability to negotiate.
Hmm.
And usually what we're doing is, in the scenario where we have 8 to 10 offers, we're sitting down with the owner, having long discussions about, first and foremost, what was the fit and feel like when you met these parties?
Right.
So we're not looking at the numbers, we're not looking at the deal.
Hmm.
We're asking them, how did they feel about each of the parties?
Hmm.
It's amazing when they pick party 2, 4, and 5, and it happens to be that 2, 4, and 5 had the best offers as well. Sometimes that happens
Right.
because there was synergies, because there was fit, and those offers ended up being the best.
Right.
Other times we have to include those
Hmm.
because they're the best fit,
Right.
but then we're talking to somebody else about bringing their offer up to get as high as those offers. So it's a matter of running a process to get all of those, to get that competitive tension in the room, if you will, or at the
Right.
table.
Right.
And then that competitive tension and those multiple offers gives us the best position in which to negotiate and work out the finer details to perhaps get, a higher offer from
Right.
the most desirable party.
Right.
Maybe it's better deal structure. Maybe it's a shorter transition, or maybe the owner now wants a longer transition because he really likes that party and is happy to work with them for a longer period of time. So it's a matter of running the process first, getting the tension, and then using that tension to get exactly what we want for the owner.
That is a very strategic approach. It's almost very similar to how bidding works, right?
Exactly.
And again, you have to work for the best interest of your client, and that is something that you are amazingly doing. Maximizing your business's value is as much about understanding the market as it is about knowing your buyers. Let's take a short break, and when we return, we'll dive into what separates a good offer from a great deal and how to attract multiple buyers for your business. Stay tuned.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Welcome back, listeners. Let's dive into the conversation with Don. Now, Don, let's delve into the difference between a good offer and a great deal, right? Evaluating an offer goes beyond just the financial terms. It's about assessing the long term impact on your business and future opportunities. So go ahead and please educate all of us. What's the difference between a good offer and a great deal, especially for a business owner and his POV, and what factors should they prioritize while evaluating potential offers, apart from just having that feel good vibe?
Sure. So I think when I hear that question, a good offer which is words perhaps, or it's just an offer, but getting that to the point where it becomes a great deal
Right.
is a big, it's the difference between words and actions. Because a lot of people, even owners in their market, will get people sending emails, making
Right.
phone calls, and making good offers.
Mm.
They sound great,
Mm.
but actually getting them across the line in terms of an actual deal
Mm.
is where the difficulty comes in, or the challenge comes
Right.
in. So for us, it's about turning into a reality what has been made in terms of an offer. And again, I'd go back to that competitive tension. If you have 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 offers, you probably have the largest probability, or the greatest probability, of turning one of them into the one great deal that works for the owner. The other thing, though, is that every owner is going to be different. Every owner is going to describe what is a great deal for them, and it's a very personal decision for them. So some owners will not necessarily want the most value
Mm.
if they can know that their management team or all of their employees are protected for a certain amount of time.
Right.
So usually when we have those conversations and we dig in with an owner, certainly value is often near the top, if not at the top,
Mm.
but it's not the only thing. It also has to do with their legacy,
Right.
their employees. We occasionally we'll have an owner that says to us, "I've made all the money I need to make. I can't spend anymore. So what else can we do for my employees, my community, my management team, and for that matter, my legacy, or maybe my family?" So all of those things could potentially come into the conversation.
Great. Now, this also makes me wonder, why is that some businesses attract multiple buyers, whereas others they struggle to receive even a single offer? What goes wrong?
Sure. So a lot of um, a lot of the detail behind, and we hear those stories as well. The story of someone that took their business to market, couldn't figure out why they didn't get any offers, no one's interested, and then other scenarios, even our own circumstances, where we have over 20 offers on the table.
Right.
Um, I think I would go back to what I said near the beginning, which was having a plan and understanding that you are going to exit someday. There's not a business owner out there. It's inevitable. You will exit your business someday.
Right.
Unfortunately, the reality is, sad reality, some will exit in a box, or will literally not leave their business until the last day. In many other cases, though, people sit down, establish a plan, and have a long runway to work with their advisors, work with an M&A advisor to come up with a plan. And I usually tell people there's a combination of 2 waves that need to happen in order for that business owner to have a successful exit.
Mm.
The first wave is them understanding their value and building value into their company over the time between now and when they exit. Again, that can be 6 months, it can be 6 years from now,
Yeah.
but the more they can do to professionalize and de-risk their business, the better off they'll be. Businesses are almost always able to be measured in terms of their quality or their sellability. So the more effort and energy you can put into growing the value and quality of your business, the better the business is going to be. The second wave is our job, and that's the M&A advisor working with the team to take that business now and run it through a professional process,
Right.
which takes somewhere around 9 months usually. And if they run through a professional, structured, proven process, our job is to deliver the second wave, which is that competitive wave, multiple offers. And now what you're doing is protecting the price of the business, the value of the business,
Mm.
and you're keeping the pencil sharp at the offer table, because ultimately every one of those buyers knows they're not the only buyer at the table,
Right.
and they need to sweeten their deal to get a deal across the line, or to be the winning bid. Ultimately, the best way to get the best price by having those multiple offers is also to keep the second and third offers at the table while we go into the due diligence period.
Mm-hmm.
So having those multiple offers, make sure the pencils are sharp to get the best offer,
Right.
but it also means we can run a very quick process to get through due diligence, eliminate retrading or rehashing stuff that doesn't really matter, and pushing to get it closed. While the buyer knows that offer 2 and not offer 3 are waiting in the wings if they slip up or if they
Right.
start to slow the process down.
Very well articulated. And again, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and, genuinely educating us about how the, internals of this business work. Before we let you go, Don, what are the key takeaways you'd like our listeners to remember about maximizing the value of their business? And if there's one final advice that you'd like to, want them to take action on, what would it be?
I think what I referenced, I'll just go back to that, and that's that it's really important to understand the value of your biggest asset. There's no question that understanding the value of your biggest asset is the best way to figure out what your plan is going to be to protect that value and grow that value before close. And then pick and work with a team that you like and trust. If you don't trust your advisors, they're really not much help to you.
Right.
And if you don't like them, you're not going to want to work with them for very long. So pick somebody you like and that you trust and start putting your plan in action, and you'll have a more valuable business when you go to market.
That's amazing advice, Don. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your expertise with us. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
That was an insightful conversation with Don Montgomery, founder and president of a national M&A firm, on maximizing the value of your business and achieving a successful exit. His expertise provides valuable guidance for Canadian business owners considering this significant transition. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We really appreciate your continued support. Also, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert insights and resources that can help your business thrive. Also, don't forget to visit our website, CanadianSME.ca. And lastly, a very special thank you to our podcast partners, RBC, UPS, A1 Global College, and Google for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses in Canada. Until next time, keep innovating and striving for success, and we'll see you in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.